Now I want to talk about the actual deck. Some of those tips in terms of how do you visualize your deck? How do you make PowerPoint or whatever presentation type of software you're using a little bit better? And really, how do you build that deck? Part of the problem is presentations, the visuals you have are subjective in nature. Not everybody's going to like it. Not everybody's going to think you are a PowerPoint genius because you can spin a picture in, but there's some universal norms that people tend to agree on that are effective for presentations and are aesthetically pleasing. So first rule is just to keep it simple. Keep the communication to your audience simple. Don't let the message sort of get crowded or derailed by the slides themselves. So less crowded, less cluttered, the more powerful your visual messages will become. And there's an example of that down below here. Limit the bullet points in text. Try to become more visual if you can, and that'll benefit your audience. And the other piece of this is that if you have lots of bullet points, lots of words, people start to read and stop listening to you. Use the information that cues you about what you're going to talk about and helps you get your ideas across to your audience. Everything else becomes a distraction. Use animations and transitions sparingly. Part of the problem here is they could become gimmicky and you become more focused on the gimmicks rather than the content. The other piece of it is they may cause problems in technical pieces. So in a lot of cases, I have my teams present separate slides pointing out here's the key piece that we want to talk about in the information that's being presented. Use high quality graphics. The quality graphics represents the quality of your presentation. Things like we've got on the side here, bad. So you want high quality pictures, high quality graphics in order to just keep that vibe up in terms of, yeah, this is a quality presentation. The first rule is really using appropriate chart. Ask yourself how much detail you need. Often you're way too guilty of putting too much information. And that happens a lot on charts, making sure that you don't have a lot of zeros. You've got the right items on the borders. You've sourced it if you need to source it, those types of things. Having a title that explains what it's about, and really ask yourself, is the graphic, especially if it's a chart, showing the trend that I want it to show? Because that's really what a chart is all about. Rule number 6, having a visual theme. I would avoid a lot of PowerPoint templates. A lot of them are not that good, and it's relatively easy to make your own. Most people have seen sort of those templates, and as I say, there's a few of them. They use space very weirdly. As PowerPoint's grown up over the years, they've gotten better. And I can say the same thing with other types of presentation software. You wind up with the same problem. You can do this, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Choose your fonts well. Fonts communicate subtle messages, and use the same font family through your presentation. Know the difference between a serif and a sans serif. Sans serif fonts are developed or were developed in order to be read easier in presentations and digitally. Serif fonts were designed for documents where there's a lot of text, and they're not great in presentation. And so the idea of a serif font is Times New Roman. Again, really good on a written document, not so good in presentation mode on a PowerPoint or a Prezi presentation. You want something that, not like Comic Sans, you want people to take you seriously, so use a serious sans serif font when you do your presentation. Apple developed Helvetica just for that reason. It looks good. It works really well in terms of being digital, being visual, etc. And in Office, there's a few. The new Aptos default font is very good with that. For that, Sagai UIs, or in this presentation, we use a lot of Poppins. They're very similar to Helvetica and carry that same sort of message. Rule number 8, don't be afraid to use video or audio every once in a while. If it fits and if it can be effective, it can be a powerful tool. If you're in a competition, make sure it fits into the rules of the competition. You have time to prepare for it, etc. right? And again, putting a video in terms of a clip and then, or a screenshot of it, and then having it linked out so that it runs properly, and test it before you use it. Rule number 9, spend some time in the slide sorter. It allows you to move slides back and forth, and you can take small chunks. And again, you can start to take a look at it. You know what? That slide really doesn't fit there. I need to move it to some other location. And it's relatively easy to use, along with the idea of the master slide. And the master slide is an easy way to actually develop your own templates and then use those templates in a consistent manner through all of the different types of slides that you've got. And it controls things like the font, the colors, the sizes of text, etc. as you go through, and works really well. I would recommend spending some time practicing with the master slide.